We're glad to welcome in the athletic director from UCF, Terry Mohajir, who joins BYU Sports Nation. Terry, great to have you with us.
Wonderful to be here. It's great to see you guys, man. It's always. I love the BYU contingency, man. It's fantastic. Great people. Just, you guys are always smiling. You're all good looking. I mean, it's just crazy, man.
You just wait
the beautiful people.
You just wait till October. We're going to be flooding your streets.
I hope
you're
it's
going to be
really
asking
hot.
us to leave.
I hope it's really hot.
BYU makes the trip out to Orlando in late October, but we'll get to that in just a moment.
Okay.
But you mentioned, like, you formed this bond with BYU, specifically with athletic director Tom Hommel. Why do you feel like you've hit it off with Tom and the BYU?
No, I love Tom. Well, number one, we're football guys, and he was a coach, so I look at him a little bit like an older brother, really older brother. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. But he's just great to talk to. I love to talk through things when things were going on with COVID. We were trying to reschedule. We got on the phone. I was on the advisory committee with the CFP advisory committee with him, so I got to know him there. And just a great person. Represents your program and BYU so well, and I got a lot of admiration for him, the program, the people of BYU. I worked for a guy when I was younger that was a former baseball player for BYU, Craig Angelos. He's the AD at Hawaii now. You probably didn't know that, did you?
Did not.
He was a BYU baseball player.
There you go.
So I worked for him at FAU, and just have a lot of his whole family went to BYU. So he's got a great family. So just always loved the people from BYU.
UCF came into the conference last year along with BYU. Take us through a little bit of what goes on behind the scenes as an AD. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot that you guys have to take into consideration that you had mentioned are kind of bouncing off of each other. Walk us a little bit through that process.
So it's a little different because you guys are a private school. We're a public school, so we're bound by certain state laws that you guys may or may not be. And so, in UCF, you can't use state money to fund athletics. The state laws preclude that, state statute. So, just talking to private, how do you fund in your program? What are you doing? How are you doing NIL? How's your collectives? Just little things like that, scheduling. What are you going to do scheduling-wise? And just, the transition of it, the analysts you have, scholarships going forward, especially with this new landscape of college athletics. What are you going to do? What's the scholarship limits? What's your idea of scholarship limits or maximums? I say maximums more than limits. What's your idea of scholarship maximums? What are you going to do on revenue share? How are you going to look at it? Tom was in the pros. He was a head football coach in the Pac-12. How are you going to do it? We're going to do it like the NFL. Yeah. Are you going to do it based on that? You get paid this amount of money in revenue share or for name, image, and likeness when you're, a rookie or a freshman, or are you an all-conference player or an all-pro player? How are you doing that? So we're just talking through all that stuff, and it's good. It's good to bounce off of guys that have a lot of experience.
College football kind of seems like it's at this point now where every day, just around the corner, there seems to be this new, ever-evolving aspect to it or layer that maybe ADs, teams didn't anticipate. 5 years from now, where do you see college football?
I do think that in 5 years from now, you're going to see it probably be as big as it's ever been. I do think the revenue share that everybody's worried about, I think, is going to level set college athletics, college football. I really do believe that based on what I'm hearing today.
Interesting.
Yeah, I really do think. I think it's actually going to help us. I think some schools will go back to doing how they did business prior to to the NIL days and transfer portals, which is probably not what you're supposed to be doing. But I think this actually is more transparent than it's ever been before. And so I'm actually embracing it. And I think there's a lot of to be said. There's a lot of young people that are going to be taking good care of their families as a result of this, of revenue share. So, I think it's going to be very popular. I think fan bases are going to be more excited. I do think this. I think patience, and I do think your coaching stability and is really important. And I do think with fan bases, fan bases are very patient, but because of what we're learning through and navigating through, everybody has different, collective amounts, and how you guys do collectives different than what Utah does or how we do it. But I do think going forward, it's going to be more similar. It's going to be the cap's going to be the cap, and you're supposed to adhere to the cap. And what is counted inside the cap is going to be consistent. So,
hey, can I interject here for a little bit? Because speaking of the future, I know that Brett Yormark values your opinion, and he values Tom's opinion, and he reaches out to you to get a kind of gauge of like, hey, how are things going in your athletic departments? Where do you see the Big 12 Conference moving in the future as well, as far as potential expansion goes and whatnot?
I love that you asked that question. I really think we'll be a top 2 conference, and there's no doubt in my mind. Look at our footprint, man, and look at the geography of our footprint. I mean, we got Florida, you got the East Coast, and you got California, and you got Texas. You can't get any better than that. I think if we continue to hire the right personnel, the right people, we evaluate, we recruit, and we develop, like a lot of the coaches do a great job in this league, we'll be as good as anybody. I really do believe that. And everybody gets so tripped up on money and finances, right? And listen, which athletic department has the most money? Name it.
In the conference or the country?
No, just in the country. Who has the most?
Alabama.
Money?
Oregon, Georgia,
Texas. Texas is far and away probably bigger than anybody, I would imagine. I haven't seen their financials, but I would imagine. How many national championships have they won in football in the last 15 years?
That's a great point.
0.
Yeah, and that's not a slam. They're obviously hired a really good coach. They're back in the playoffs. But, I mean, it doesn't always – money is not the reason why you win.
100%.
All right? It just doesn't. And, and so I think the notion – the Big Ten has more money than the SEC. They just do. You know, the revenue, their revenues and their broadcast TV rights are more than the SEC. The SEC is not afraid to play anybody in the Big Ten, right?
Right.
So I think now we're not going to have as much money right now as them, but I do think that's why you have a guy like Brett Yormark with the marketing acumen that he has and the business opportunities that he's trying to create and the commercial wherewithal that he has. That we're going to get up there. What does it take? Do you have to have the same amount of money? No, you don't. It's proven over and over and over and over the years in the last 50 years or a half a century that you don't have to have the most money to be very successful.
Yeah.
You got to have the right coaches, got to have the right personnel, and you got to have the right geography.
Great stuff. Hey, Terry, we appreciate the time. Fascinating. And, hey, we'll see you down the road. See you in October.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate you guys.
Sir. You got it.
Stopping by.